All right, guys, it's that time. We did adding and subtracting of whole numbers yesterday. So today we're going to move on, continue our practice with adding and subtracting, but we're moving on to decimals. So steps are going to feel very similar to adding and subtracting whole numbers, just with one simple change that's actually going to make it easier. So we're still going to line them up, but here's that change. Using the decimal point. And that's actually going to make your life a whole lot easier. And let me show you why. If I have the two numbers, not that. If I have the two numbers, $17 and 45 thousandths, and I have the number 342 and 65 hundredths. I'm going to use my decimal point to figure out where I can line those up. I'm actually going to put my decimal point here first and go either direction to line things up. So I'm gonna put my 65 hundredths here and then my 342 here. Now I'm ready to add because everything is lined up. And if need be, I can add an extra zero. Remember, we talked about equivalent decimals. I can add as many zeros after here as I want without changing the value of the number. So that way I have numbers to actually add in each column. Okay, and we're going to do a couple practices with that. I just wanted to show you that we are lining up using the decimal point. That's the most important part when we're lining them up. So we're going to do a couple practices where there's the same number of places after the decimal, and then a couple practices where there's not. So first practice, I'm going to do 4 and 3,962 10,000ths. So that's going to look like this. 4 and 3,962 10,000ths. Okay, and I'm going to add 8,037 10,000ths. So I didn't have a number here, so I'm going to put my 0 and my decimal point. 8,037 10,000ths. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add or subtract right to left, which we are familiar with. We did that with whole numbers. We're doing the same thing with decimals. And then for our step 3, I kind of ran out of room here. We're going to carry or borrow as needed. Okay? And if you haven't talked about carrying or borrowing with me in small groups yet, I'll see you today and we'll talk about that. But just know that depending on whether you're adding, which we carry for adding, or subtracting, we borrow for subtracting, you do that as you go, okay? So let's go ahead and add these two numbers together. I start at the far right, and I do each column as I go towards the left. So 2 plus 7 is 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 0, 9. 3 plus 8 is 11. So this is where I'm going to carry as needed. I put my 1 for my ones place down here, and I carry my 1 to the next place value. I'm also going to carry my decimal point down. So before I even keep going, I carry my decimal point down so he lands in the right spot. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 0 is, we stick at 5. So our answer is 5 and 1,999 10,000ths. So I'm going to add in a little step here. Bring down the decimal point. Okay, So once you reach the decimal point as you're adding or subtracting, go ahead and carry him down that line and put him where he goes, okay? Let's go ahead and do a subtraction problem. We're going to do 25 and 47 10,000ths minus 6, and my 6 goes in my ones place, so just be careful when you're lining these up. 6 and 3,691 10,000ths. Okay? So notice I lined everything up in their place values. I lined up my decimal points to make sure that they landed on the same line after my ones. And now I'm ready to do my subtraction. So 7 minus 1, 4 minus 9. I can't take 9 away if I only have 4. So I have to come to my neighbor and say, hey, can I borrow one from you? And he says, sorry, I'm all out. I got to go next door and ask my friend. Hold on a second. So then I go to my neighbor. I say, hey, my friend needs some. Can I borrow one from you? And he says, sorry, I'm all out. Talk to you later. Let me ask my other friend. So we come here. The 5 says, sure. So our 5 becomes a 4, and this 0 becomes a 10. However, but this guy still needs something to borrow from. So I'm going to borrow from my 10, make him a 9, and make this one a 10. Same process that we did when we were adding and subtracting whole numbers, okay? I still need to borrow from my 4, so my 10 becomes a 9. And my 4 becomes a 14. We add 10 to him. Okay, so now I'm good to go. 14 minus 9. 9 minus 6. 9 minus 3. Bring my decimal point down. Okay. I can't do 4 minus 6, so I have to come over here and borrow from him. Make him a 1. Make him 14. 14 minus 6, and then my 1 is just going to come straight down. So my answer is 18 and 6,356 10,000ths. Okay? I'm going to do 2 more practices to show you 2 more things that you might come across when you're adding and subtracting decimals. Okay? So let's do this one. Oh, wait, we just did that one. My bad. Let's do another addition one. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to write it over here so you can see it. Sorry, I'm going to add my brain. Sorry, friends. That's what I'm going to add to my 32 and 8,794 10,000ths. So remember, I'm going to line up my decimals, and I'm going to write my number kind of funky to make sure everybody lands in their correct spots. So my 4 goes here, I have a 0, and I have a 5. So if you notice, everything's lined up, but I actually have these 2 numbers here that don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anybody to add or subtract to. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add zeros to the end, because we know that with equivalent decimals, we can add as many zeros to the end of our number without changing his value. So I just added these 2 zeros so everybody has a partner to go with, okay? So we're just going to add right to left and see where it takes us. So 4 plus 0, 9 plus 0, 7 plus 5 is 12. So I put my 2 down here and I carry my 1. 1 plus 8 plus 0. I forgot that. And I'm going to bring my decimal point down so he lands in the right spot and keep adding. 2 plus 4. And my 3 just comes straight down. All right? So when I add these 2 numbers, I had to add some zeros so everybody had a partner. But then I just did the same thing. Right to left, carry as needed, bring that decimal point down. The last one, we're going to do one more. So I'm going to do 10,008 10,000ths. And I'm going to write my number over here so you can see what I'm going to do. And I'm going to subtract 345 10,000ths. So I'm going to put my decimal point here. I'm going to go ahead and put that 0 to line those up. Then I have 0, 3, 4, 5. So again, I have a friend that doesn't have anybody to add or subtract to. So I put my 0 as a placeholder to give him a partner to work with. All right. So now we're going to subtract, again, right to left, borrowing as needed. So 8 minus 0. I can't do 0 minus 5, so I have to come next door. Can't take from 0, so we got to come next door. Can't take from 0, so we got to come next door. He's going to become 0. And this one becomes a 10. But we're borrowing, so we got to keep taking away. So he becomes 9. He becomes 10. Still borrowing. He becomes 9. He becomes 10. Now we're good to go. We can go ahead and finish our subtraction problem. 10 minus 5. 9 minus 4. 9 minus 3. And then my 0 minus 0, bring that decimal point down, bring that other 0 down. Okay? So, my friends that had small groups with me yesterday, we did this with whole numbers, and you should be able to transfer everything over for decimals just fine. Just make sure you take your time, and really the biggest difference for decimals is where we line up that decimal and carry him down. So just take your time and make sure that you are really paying close attention where the decimals line up. My friends that see me today, I highly recommend that you wait until we go over this together in small groups to do this assignment. I have lots of friends that are doing assignments even on the days that they see me. They do them before they see me, and then we go over it when they see me, and then they're like, oh, well, I didn't do that. So make sure that you are watching the video before your afternoon small group with me if I see you today. And then we'll go over it, do some practice problems together so that when you do your assignment today, you have all the information you need to do the best that you can. For my masterminds, my Monday, Thursday kiddos, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to log on with Mr. Jackson from 10:30 to 11:20 today, or log on with me from 3:30 to 4:15. Otherwise, friends, I'm super proud of you. You're doing a great job. Keep up the hard work and start adding and subtracting away. Doses.